My pleasure. Everyone is Ibadan International Conference in Multidisciplinary Knowledge. It's based on the 9 results of disciplinary studies. Collaboration is the demonstration of excellence in multidisciplinary studies. Permit me to introduce the dignitaries that are present this morning. The chairman of today's session is the founder of Achievers University for Ogun State, Dr. Olabode Adekunle. The chief host of today is the Vice Chancellor of the University of Ibadan, Professor Kennedy Oyewole Adekowale, who is unavoidably absent from being able to represent the Executive Vice Chancellor Administration, Professor Peter Olawale Olabisa. We also have the Dean of the Security Professor Peace. We have the common team of where of the studies in Africa, Professor Ibadan and Wat. And we also have the department of biology and medical animality, Professor C. Abdullah. We also like of the development of research and training, Professor Kewu. As the others, we have the other case department and other organizations. This morning we have the special students. They are students of the and the president of the former Deputy Governor of Oyo State, Chief Diana is vice of the Faculty of Disciplinary Studies, Professor P.C. Ogunte, to give his work. These are powerful. That's of the concept. It works life for direct platform technology. Challenge
other national staff as faculty of other I am invited to welcome you hosted by the support of the dead one center about the only where the passion, current events in multi-reality. What else? Applications. The theme is subject emphasis on the development of creativity and creativity, scholarly research, and intellectual inquiries. With purpose was healthy social impact. Participants have come from diverse disciplinary backgrounds, but with an expectation of participants. Included scholars that share interdisciplinary orientation in the search for credible and impactful solutions, made societal pressing and existential problems. The improvement in the quality of life of students should be the outcome of knowledge pursuit and process, especially at tertiary educational institutions. That obligation is academic. When the university's knowledge in their silos and pursuit, teenagers and synthesize for utilization, solving that whether technological, cultural, environmental, there is no doubt that over the years, scholars have made findings from their research evidence. However, socioeconomic challenges and multi-dimensional poverty persist in spite of intensity in research. Maybe the reason is also its absence of interdisciplinary forum, where ideas will be cross-fertilized or strengthened with other perspectives of completeness and good social value. Review of strategy is often necessary for effectiveness. For example, in the words of Desmond, there comes a point where we need to stop just pulling people out of the river. We need to go upstream and find out why they are falling. This conference will provide an opportunity for new ideas, of presentations, to strengthen our arguments, to enrich our knowledge, or even sample perspectives. Therefore, for future research to encourage also considering the shared and scholarly disposition and interdisciplinary based. The faculty will sustain this inspired initiative. The faculty of Multidisciplinary Studies was established in 2020 by the Senate of the Union with the Vice Professor Ibadan. The faculty presently coordinates academic and degree programs of 5 new departments. created from existing interdisciplinary research centers of excellence. We had the Center for Petroleum Innovations and More. Now, having a Department of Minerals, Petroleum and More. Institute for Peace and Security Studies, actually. Now, the Department of Peace, Security, and Humanitarian. Number 3. Center for Sustainable Development. Now, the Department of Sustainability Studies. Yes. Number 4, the African Regional Center for Information Science. Now, the Department of Data and Information Science. Lastly, the Center for Bioethics and Medical Humanities. Now, the Department of Bioethics and Medical Humanities. Notwithstanding the restructuring, scholars in the departments and centers retain their interdisciplinary orientation. On behalf of the faculty, I thank you all for choosing to attend or participate in this program. And the acceptance to present the videos depending on my and also calling of the University of World. We are grateful to Vice Chancellor for the institutional support and also attempting to vote. Also, we say thank you to the local container for centers of excellence to support this strategy. And our partners, staff, and students of the Faculty of Multidisciplinary, and especially the conference local organizing committee led by Lawale Advice for their entire dedication towards planning this month. Thank you.
Please can we give Professor the right of thought? While he was welcoming us, the head of the Department of Sustainability came in. So that Sustainability Studies came in. I'd like to recognize the presence of Professor S. The head Department of Peace, Security, and Humanitarian Studies is also here with us, Professor Ruth O. Antio. Professor Ivo Abbas was the pioneer team of the conference. So we are talking beautiful answer.
Let me start by explaining the principle of the study. It's currently not present. So I'm very about it. The purpose of being I have to appreciate you for finding comments. I've heard so much about you, and I'm happy that you decided to bring yourself here to be part of this great occasion, and we appreciate it. I also want to appreciate my Vice Chancellor, Professor IICMS, who is strictly represented by, I don't want to just say a member of the faculty, or the member of the faculty, is a member of I especially recognize the name of the faculty, Professor Kuti, and all heads of department of the faculty. I recognize all invited people, heads of department. Let me start by thanking one of our common speakers for today, our former Vice Chancellor, Lanika, who was told enough to further this faculty. He was bold enough to say we are going to have a faculty and we can struggle to stay. As I go around the world and introduced, I discovered recently that people get fascinated when we create faculty of multidisciplinary studies. And recently, at the continental meeting, a senior colleague who gave you the idea and what you do with the faculty. So this is a faculty that is the first on the continent. There's a lot is expected from, but I would say it is a work in progress. Because the university took more interest in establishing the faculty than actually, truly making this to work. But that we're to my first international conference today is to say that we are both enough to present ourselves to the public. The studies are about to terminate. We tried in the year 2021, but we were stopped by COVID. We announced the first conference, several abstracts came in, but the country was locked down. And that's why we have this today, is to say that we have an efficient day. The theme of the faculty was 6 years, 2 terms. And I think the strongest support I got for running the system came from the Institute for Peace and Strategic Studies that gave us its facilities to use. But I think the second support I could give every meeting I go, will be the first. Will be the first to come. I appreciate you so very much because it's my opposite. I hate administration with passion, and I hate meetings. I prefer getting things done than sitting in class, discussing, debating. That is me. So anytime I come to a meeting and I saw a meeting, why is this one so much involved? Because I think there's a lot of where we are. So we need to celebrate. Now, if I come to multidisciplinary studies, we ask yourself, what is it all about? What the faculty basically is trying to do is to catch up with what is being done all over the world. I invited some of my colleagues to publish in good journals because you are not political. The world has gone beyond this in a linear kind of scholarship that people. I was thinking at going in weeks on this multidisciplinary thing. If you are a historian, the world is tired of storytelling. And I challenge historians. I said, if you have never read a book on psychology, you're a failure. Because history is about how people engage their society, the strategies they use, the emotions, and whatever. So I said, if you have never read a book on psychology, You can never be a student. You said all people fell from him. What made him to fall? And how did he fall? So we have several questions. So, and as of Investor of Income said when I made the presentation 2 weeks ago, I think we are now beginning to discover ourselves that we can no longer continue this public scholarship that we are practicing. There's a need for us to go multidisciplinary. We must learn to use the tools of other disciplines while reaching things we do and the things we say. He said in Unilag, when he started butter down, some people dismiss it, no, they're not a historian. Historians don't go into theories. Historians don't go, but please, if you are a historian who is not ready to use theory, if you are a historian who is not ready to use social science methods, no serious journal will publish you. And no journal of history will publish you. Sorry, I didn't mistake. There's no serious journal will publish you. And that is why our governments are constantly regularly rejected by journals, because people are tired of the kind of things we write, the kind of things we do, arguments that are not supported by any sound philosophy that doesn't actually sound philosophical perspective. So we find the faculty that Mr. Gisa, I would say that Mr. Gisa is different. Let's clap ourselves that we have passed through the first stage of multidisciplinary studies, getting ourselves established in that. Now let's start with the work. We must have a faculty course of multidisciplinary studies that all our students take. And then we must also start having cross-sectional seminars that will enable us to read ideas. In other words, I'm saying we should start practicing what our name says. On that note, let me thank all our heads because we all supported me. But I got tremendous support from the Institute for Peace and Strategic Studies. And we have to work in investigation.
Thank you very much, Professor. Now we're going to listen to the voice of the Vice Chancellor. It's my pleasure to invite Professor Lakegba to give the welcome remarks by the Vice Chancellor. Please put your hands together.
The chairman of this session, the general faculty, formerly, and the very likely during times when the government like myself, history in Africa, when history globally. There is nothing like this everything like that. What is everything? First of all, that's for departments and person. Directors represent students on our great institutions, delegates to this conference, and of course, I also want to recognize the former governor of the state, His Excellency Ibadan, and former SSG for the state, the is purely very encouraging. Like our society, going out to touch space to unity. I don't need to celebrate I don't think that was to apply for the job. But then you just realize that nobody is to learn. And because they are passionate, I see them as motivation for the younger generation. Thank you for being good person. It's a very good pleasure welcoming you to Ibadan International Studies, IICMS 2025. The theme for the conference is current trends in multidisciplinary models, methods, and application. This conference is very important and timely because it is the first being organized by our faculty since the establishment in 2020. And of course, it's not important for this to be done. But for the reason I want to participate that the whole world today is talking of multidisciplinary. Of course, when you go to universities in the UK, you find somebody in communication and language in the department of physics. You access or you find somebody from psychology in the department of physics. And people are already, but then there's something called science. So we all must be able to change here and the whole world is talking about multidisciplinary. It is bringing together academics to place the academic, which implies and development to be examined and researched to combine disciplinary perspective rather than from narrow perspective, which is how and who is the academic and this conference is very important because it provides the opportunity for scholars to be enlightened and to understand the interest and provide insight to the emergence of the current trends in multidisciplinary that further advance humanity. More importantly, I believe this conference will provide an opportunity and scholars that better understand the nature of other and how to investigate how they it is believed that similar focus on development issues can achieve anything. But when such approach from multidisciplinary perspective by bringing together social scientists, physical scientists, medical researchers, agricultural researchers, data scientists, energy researchers, etc. So combined effort and perspectives is likely to produce a more robust and productive outcome that lead to quicker and sustainable resolution of problems facing humanity. Let me use this opportunity to appreciate the past attitude of the University Administration for establishing the Faculty of Multidisciplinary Studies in conformity with global trend among the Ivy League institutions across the world to achieve their formation objectives. Of course, the University established the faculty. And of course, President Albert in his remarks said that the energy put into establishing the faculty is greater than the energy put into it at the faculty. One second. The university is a opinion. But I will also give them our indigenous knowledge. There's something that the other argument is very impressive. That's very, very well. So when that flag of people in charge, the other computer is that guy, but you see, the investment we have, government investment especially, is fast government investment in terms of as we speak, our expenditure in investment on a monthly basis is in excess of 320 million naira. But what government, what government is also give us on a basis, or what the government agrees to on a monthly basis is 24 million naira. And you can facilitate. I don't get the government of 24 million naira every month. Because they are more, they will get as low as 50 million. So the first answer is expected. We then look for 300 million to feed the funding gap. So when faculty department and individuals are drug investors to say ABCD, you look at yourself and you have to tell the person where they are getting money to go along this. And that is more than ever before. I invested by the website. That's what for them to go on the night. I mean, we were with someone about 2 months ago. We discussed particular benefactions. Thinking some things were over 8 people now. And the man, after discussion, we promised to give him some material to the university. Was a 23 annual report. Now I had to on the university make a follow-up to that man to discuss analyze it. And the old man said update and distributed. I saw what the government allocated to the university. And I'm embarrassed. So you not ask me how I can copy. Well, I wanted to retire and explain this to my doctor. And the man said, see, are there other things? Because this is definitely not. Because I look at it and I said, rather than Nigeria, those who are sent to become vice chancellor or deputy vice chancellor are really not happy. So I look at myself and all I know, you are not human. Because if you are not, why you are not going to do this job? But there's someone responsible. So this is the problem we have. Where do you go from here? Who without we need to do? We are going to join us. We need to look for benefaction. The benefaction I just talked about. 2 giant buildings. Those was specific. Where those buildings to be. But together, this is what the was specific. But together, because someone is let us if you know the people can approach, let us know. We will go. We are at celebration. Lesson. And what the lesson? Is the lesson that the money is out there. If you go. I don't know being the chairman of IICMS. And we say we're going to move out. That was the committee that we started. And now we will stay out. Without taking a pen from the university. And we are going to run this 1 year long celebration. That will be getting money from the university. We are going to get money from the university. That's what we learn about. And we have our list. I'm not a particular gentleman. So they are and I told you about something. Wherever we want people to lead us. Because people will be more comfortable, very commitment when they are talking to skill. So he let us about this gentleman. And the cheapest one on this was a 200 million scholarship. And we made a presentation. And the following morning, the gentleman called me. I think I will take this scholarship fund. I was skeptical. Not this Nigeria. Don't make promises. They never intend to. And of course, the man because there are other ones that come. As I'm not promised, 200 million naira. Now, so that's the lesson that we need to launch out. So when you have I need to this I was listening to the and he said, well, now I think I actually overcome. He said, well, it was 12 years. You go to like to pay salary and all. So it's actually there, but it's not the government university. Because the program will say, university submit your budget. We make a budget to submit a budget. We don't submit a budget. We will present and defend our budget at Senate and National Assembly. The budget will be passed. The government will come around to tell you, well, we are creating envelope system. Investor by take your envelope, whatever what I can afford. Yeah, we open an envelope of fine 24 million naira as you overhead. May I congratulate the dean of this faculty for providing leadership that has resulted in the realization of this international conference, which I led this man to be an analytical. You see, this gentleman, the dean, cannot afford to flee. And I'll tell you what, he's my very good friend. We've been friends since undergrad days. You will criticize him. To do everything. No, you are not doing it well. It's out of me. And when I was in Finland, I went to the finish. Tell us all of this. About people like that, I was just praying that God put in position. So I became deep. I said, my friend, now you are one of us. That thing that you research God as God, go and do it. So I went through it. So he said, I got a fish account. I'm not giving you a fish account because if he says you can't go money, you can't go money and go. So I mean, he has a body to deliver. And I appreciate I am going to give something which is bound to produce a so therefore I try to control it. I don't know into breaking new grounds and new discoveries. I welcome all participants in person and online, and of course, to recognize the presence online of Professor Abel Yolanka, Madam Vice Chancellor of the and also our foreign participants to this conference. And I'm going to find time to enjoy the ambience of our university. For those who are new to the university, please proud. And this is a university that has a standard zoological garden on campus. So visitors zoological garden. Visit the Ibadan. Also one of the very universities down on campus. Visit the down. And of course, we can also visit our conservation area. The Ibadan area. We have the university of plants. Over 20,000 trees. I didn't know renewable. Over 20,000 we planted there. Yeah, and of course we also have you have 75 indigenous tree farm. We have to be able to plant over 2,000 trees, and we are still planting. The investor model is friendly, it's environmental friendly. On behalf of the investor model, council and community, I welcome everyone to this conference and hope you have a very productive outcome. I look forward to also meeting everyone at the conference update tomorrow, Wednesday, 12 February 2025, for further informal interactions, networking, and relaxation. Once again, thank you. God bless you.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to formally recognize the presence of the Dean of the Faculty of Renewable Natural Resources, Professor Adejoke Akinyele. I was informed that the goodwill message from Professor W.M. Olatutu, a former dean of the faculty, is to be delivered online. Dr. Laide, we are ready.
Good morning. I hope you can hear me. This Professor Latupo on the line. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Prof.
Okay, thank you, sir. So I acknowledge the Vice Chancellor, Professor Kayode Adebowale, ably represented by the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Administration, Professor Olagbegba. Other principal staff at the conference recognized, and the Dean of my faculty, Professor P.C. Obute. Then the former Dean of the faculty, Professor Isaac Albert. All heads of department present from the Faculty of Multidisciplinary Studies and other faculties, including other deans from other faculties. Our keynote speakers of today, staff of the faculty, and distinguished participants. So it is with profound honor and delight that I stand this morning to deliver this goodwill message at our faculty's first Ibadan International Conference in Multidisciplinary Studies. So this conference, in collaboration with the Tetford Center of Excellence, marks a significant milestone in our collective journey through academic and societal progress. And the theme of this conference, we have been told, is the current trends in multidisciplinarity, models, methodologies, and applications. This theme could not be more timely or relevant than now. And in an era that is characterized by a lot of technological advancement, complex global challenges, the need for multidisciplinarity approaches has been even greater than ever before. Because our world demands innovative solutions that transcend traditional disciplinary boundaries to foster a culture of collaboration and integrative thinking. So multidisciplinarity is not just a trendy term or a hype. It is actually today, in this world that we are, a necessity. It represents a shift in how we approach problems, how we conduct research, and implement solutions. So multidisciplinarity actually stands as a beacon of hope in addressing the intricate and interconnected challenges of our world that the whole world faces today. You know, distinguished audience, you agree with me that when you consider the issue, the global issue of climate change, for example, that problem cannot be tackled solely through the lens of environmental science, because it demands collaboration among economists, political scientists, engineers, sociologists, and beyond to develop sustainable policies, technologies, and societal shifts. Also, we had the problem of COVID, which was a major public health crisis. It equally underscored the necessity for a multidisciplinary approach to blend expertise from virology, healthcare management, data analytics, and communication strategies. So when you look at it, multidisciplinarity enriches our problem-solving toolkit. equipping us with the diverse perspectives and comprehensive strategies needed to navigate the complexity of global issues. So in this sense, it imagines, multidisciplinary becomes a panacea, driving us towards a more resilient, informed, and cooperative global society. So this morning, I applaud the organizers of this maiden conference of our faculty for their vision and dedication in bringing together scholars, researchers, and practitioners from various disciplines. Today's gathering provides a unique platform for exchange of ideas, sharing experiences, and forging new partnerships that will drive our academic and societal endeavors forward. So, distinguished audience this morning, as we embark on this intellectual journey over the next 2 days, I encourage each of you to engage deeply, challenge assumptions, and embrace the richness of multidisciplinary perspectives. We should seize this opportunity to explore new frontiers, innovative, and contribute to the advancement of knowledge and society. And I'm confident that this conference will not only illuminate the current trends in multidisciplinarity, but also inspire all of us to envision and create a future where collaboration and integrative thinking will be the cornerstones of progress. So in closing, I would like to extend my deepest gratitude to the distinguished individuals who have made this event possible. Firstly, a profound thank you to Professor Kayode Adebowale, our esteemed Vice Chancellor, and the Chief Host for his visionary leadership and providing an enabling environment to organize this conference. I give a special acknowledgement to Professor Abel Idowu-Olayinka, our first keynoter for today, under whose tenure the Faculty of Multidisciplinary Studies was established. So your foresight and dedication to multidisciplinary scholarship have laid the foundation for our endeavors in this faculty. And to Professor Pauline Deutz, who will be giving the second keynote address, we are immensely grateful for your participation and for sharing your profound knowledge with us. Your contributions to significantly enhance the depth and breadth of our conversations in this conference. Also, heartfelt thanks to Dr. Olabode Ayorinde, the chairman of this conference and the founder of Achievers University. Your relentless pursuit of academic innovation and excellence remains an inspiration. And I always wish to express my appreciation to my dean, Professor P.C. Obute, the dean of the Faculty of Multidisciplinary Studies, for your leadership prowess and all the heads of departments in our faculty. So we are all deeply appreciative for the efforts of the organizers whose meticulous planning and dedication have brought this conference to fruition. And to the participants, I say thank you for your enthusiastic engagement and contribution. We drive the success of this gathering. And finally, a sincere thank you to all our sponsors for their generous support, without which this conference would not have been possible. May this conference be a resounding success, sparking new ideas, leading to collaboration and transformative change in multidisciplinary studies. So long live the University of Ibadan, long live the Faculty of Multidisciplinary Studies. So distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I say thank you all for your attention.
In terms of protocol, that documentation that will come before the reference will be part of the breakdown. That was why it came on after the reference at school. So now we're going to listen to the chairman of the State Executive Ceremony. I'm not going to read this slides. I just want to tell us a bit about Dr. Labode Ayoride. Dr. Labode Ayoride was a member of the Federal House of Representatives. He represented Owo Ose Federal Constituency of Ondo State, Nigeria, until 2019. He is the founder, Pro-Chancellor, Chairman of the Governing Council of Achievers University, Owo. Dr. Olabode Ayoride obtained a bachelor's degree in law and from the University of Ibadan in 1996. No wonder is a success in everything he does. He's a great alumnus of the University of Ibadan. Dr. Ayoride, that was when I knew him, worked as a bank branch manager for about a decade. He qualified as a chartered banker in 1993 and was elected fellow of the Institute in 2012. Dr. Ayoride is today the chairman of the first Ibadan International Conference in Multidisciplinary Studies. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please let's welcome the chairman as he gives his chairman's address.
Distinguished Vice Chancellor, ably represented by Deputy Vice Chancellor Administration, Professor Peter Olafiba. Professors, directors, deans of faculties, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, allow me to abide by the protocols already well established, but I will still recognize Your Excellency, a fellow banker, a common friend to late Goke Popola. I salute you, sir, and the former secretary to your state government. I queue behind you, seeking knowledge till the last, we have our last breath. I bring good tidings from the 4,000 students of Achievers University of and about 1,000 staff of that young university, which I see as a son of University of Ibadan. The first Vice Chancellor having been brought from University of Ibadan, Professor Johnson Odebi of blessed members. I also bring good tidings from Nasarawa State University, where I presently serve as head of department, private and business law, as an associate professor. After serving at the National Assembly and having lost the election, I also went back to academics to pick my chalk and duster. The choice was there to pick my professorship from Achievers University. But I know people like Oputi will say Ayoride has given himself professorship. So I have to go and seek appointment where they don't know me as a pro-chancellor or a founder of a university. And I was attending my lectures punctually until they say I should come and be HOD. So it was over 3 years that I joined them. They saw me on television to know my relationship at Achievers University. I want to appreciate your inviting me to come and share this very important conference, and I didn't take it lightly. That is the main reason where I flew down from Abuja to attend this conference, and I shall be returning tomorrow morning. It is with great pleasure, therefore, and a deep sense of responsibility that I stand before you today as chairman of the first international conference on multidisciplinary studies, hosted by the Department of Multidisciplinary Studies of this prestigious institution, the University of Ibadan. I warmly welcome you all, scholars, researchers, industry experts, and students to this remarkable gathering of intellect, where knowledge shall be exchanged, collaborations shall be fostered, and solutions shall be provided to the complex challenges confronting our world. Let me pause to say that this issue of multidisciplinary studies have long been understood and properly acknowledged in law. And attendees today should know reasons why we are called the learned gentlemen. We are learned because we know little things about everything, and we know everything about something. And that's why we are called learned. When you study law, you are going to offer a course in philosophy of law. You will offer a course in psychology of law. You will hear sociology of law. We go and study religion as a first law. And when you go further, law of aviation, law of maritime, matrimonial causes law, family law, everything law. So we first gather all this together. So when you are in your chambers and a client comes from any dispute, you know something about it. You now ask him to throw light into his problem, and you move majestically to the court to defend something that is not law. That's why we are called learned gentlemen. So it is, when it now got multiplied into other sectors of academics, the world will be better for it. The theme of this conference, which brings together scholars from diverse disciplines, will not have been more timely. The complexities of the 21st century require more than siloed approaches to issues. They demand interdisciplinary engagement, collaborative problem solving, and a concerted effort towards sustainable development. The imperative of multidisciplinary research in a changing world. The world today is increasingly interconnected, and solutions to major global issues, climate change, economic instability, technology advancement, public health crisis, ICT, and issues of governance demand insights from multiple fields. The COVID-19 pandemic, for instance, demonstrated that solving global crisis requires collaboration of medical scientists, economists, policymakers, data analysts, and social scientists. Similarly, artificial intelligence is revolutionizing industries, yet its ethical, legal, and socio-economic implications require input from various disciplines. In all that I have achieved in life, whether in my relationship with my landlords when I was tenant, in property dealings, employers, and my employees, as a politician, educationist, or banker, my training first as a teacher, later as confidential secretary from the Polytechnic, later as a banker and a lawyer, at one time or the other, has come in hand in dealing with difficult situations. I would have found it terribly difficult to succeed, particularly in my educational businesses, if I were not knowledgeable in banking and law. My brief spell in politics has also opened difficult doors with ease. I therefore represent a perfect example of what multidisciplinary discipline stands for in the 21st century. I give you an example of the land, 200 hectares upon which Achievers University is situated today. When we moved the idea of the university, the community said they will give us the land free, absolutely free. Why? Because the community has lost the opportunity of hosting the university 4 times. So there was this agitation. Me, university, take the land. We had several meetings, but the lawyer in me know that there can be no land acquisition without consideration. I said, no, if you don't collect any money from me, I'll move to another location. He said, okay, go and bring any amount you can afford, which is consideration in law. So with just 5 million naira, they signed the agreement. And 5 years into the university, they started Wala. It was a serious one. But of course, we are solid on ground with the law that, the IICMS of in fact, I did not only pay in law, even if you are paid, sir, you furnish consideration, there are other conditions. What about the principal officers of the various families that own the land? If they are not part of it, they can still refund your money. And I'm demanded to know the principal officers of all the families that own the land. 36 of them signed, videoed. And I brought the registrar of the court to come and witness it. So by the time they started problem, I just went to court. We settled out of court. But if I had not paid, and I've not taken all that is required, if I had not been a lawyer, if I've just been a money bag, I would have been in hospital. So first, the law in me, the lawyer in me. And when I started going to banks, it was hell. Bankers are robbers. But they met in me a chartered banker who knew everything about banking. So when they put it to me, I put it to them. They put it to me, I put it to them. And then I let her know that you cannot cheat this man. And if this have not played together with law, that university will have gone under. So the role of the university in advancing multidisciplinary studies. As Africa's premier university, University of Ibadan, which I proudly attended between 1990 and 1996, has historically led groundbreaking research in various fields. This conference further reaffirms its leadership roles and commitment to advancing multidisciplinary scholarship, innovation, and impactful research that transcends traditional academic boundaries. It is imperative that we continue to break down barriers between disciplines, ensuring that knowledge is not only generated, but also applied to solve real-world challenges. As we engage in meaningful discussions today, and continue to do so over the course of this conference, let us remain committed to bridging the gap between theory and practice. Research must go beyond academic circles and contribute to societal advancement. Fostering interdisciplinary collaboration, institutions must create structures that encourage cross-disciplinary research, as it is in this faculty, so as to strengthen the outcomes of our research efforts. Engaging with policy and industry leaders, the impact of research is maximized when it informs policy and industry practices. We must consciously ensure that our research efforts do not gather dust in the library of our academic citadel. From the onset of research planning, university authorities should identify the relevant industries to enlist their interest underlying. This should start without expectation of their financial input, which is usually the error we make. Money. Over time, the collaboration will mature and attract fees for our intellectual property via patent rights. The first thing is to enlist the interest of these industries. Next, we must also encourage young researchers. The next generation must be equipped with the tools to integrate knowledge across disciplines. As we gradually wind down in our own academic journey, it is crucial and very important that we bring up future generations by way of mentorship. In Achievers University, annually, we offer employment with scholarships for 10 graduates with outstanding performance. This looks like Operation Catch Them Young. In conclusion, I urge all participants to approach this conference with an open mind, a collaborative spirit, and a willingness to engage and with diverse perspectives. I commend the organizing committee for their diligence in putting this event together, and I look forward to the insightful presentations, panel discussions, and innovative ideas that will emerge from this gathering. Just before I read the last paragraph, let me make a comment about reaching out to the alumni side. Of course, the university has reached out to me about 3 times, and I've always done something, particularly in the Faculty of Law. But it is also necessary for the university to remember notable alumni with your products, what you sell, what you are privileged to do. Let's go back to Faculty of Law. If you are going to admit 150 students, will it be out of place if you put aside 10 of that 150 for alumni members that have helped the faculty? When we reach out to you, it is roadblock. There will be nobody will talk to you. It is difficult, it is impossible. But you reach out to us when you need us. So the management may look into this. It will also encourage us to do more. With that, I hereby declare the first international conference on the multidisciplinary studies at this great University of Ibadan officially opened. Thank you for inviting me to play this noble role at this conference, and thank you for listening. And I wish you all a productive and enriching conference. God bless you.
Thank you very much, sir. The Vice Chancellor, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, before we go to the keynote speaker, I'd just like to recognize the presence of one of our resource persons, is a former Deputy Vice Chancellor of Academic and former Acting Vice Chancellor of this university, Professor A.B. Ekola. And now we go to the keynote address. Every time we condemn COVID-19, but COVID-19 did a lot for us. It opened our eyes to many possibilities. It showed us that we can have this kind of conference in a hybrid form. And this is why the keynote speaker is going to speak to us from online. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Professor Abel Idowu Olayinka, of course, an alumnus of the University of Ibadan, and Olayinka is currently the Pro-Chancellor and Chairman of Council of West Midland Open University and a member of the Council of Adeleke University. He is the Chairman of the Board of Directors of Multiverse Mining and Exploration Nigeria PLC. The title of his keynote address is Why a Faculty of Multidisciplinary Studies at the University of Ibadan. Please, let's put our hands together
to welcome the keynote speaker.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Akinpelu. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Am I sharing the screen now? Am I sharing the screen? Sorry. You see the screen? Are you seeing my screen?
You can share now, sir.
The screen is not yet visible. Not yet visible. Okay. You see it now? Can you see the screen?
Not yet.
Can you see the screen?
We can share for you, yes, sir.
If you can share for me, fine.
All right, we'll share.
Is it being shared now?
Yes, sir.
Sharing.
Are you able to share the screen?
Yes, we can see the screen now.
Okay.
We can see the screen, sir.
Okay.
With your presentation, the screen is shared.
Okay. So I like to commend the chairman of this event, the serial entrepreneur and founder of Achievers University. He has already introduced himself as an alumnus of UA. So it's nice seeing you again, sir. And also the chief host, the vice chancellor, Professor Adebowale, who is ably represented by the Deputy Vice Chancellor Administration, Professor Peter Olafegbe, the pioneer dean of the Faculty of Multidisciplinary Studies, Professor Isaac Olawale Albert, his successors, Professor Latokun, as well as the current dean, Professor Peter Obute. So over the next 30 minutes or so, I will just share some slides with us. And I've listened to all the presentations so far, so they have made my job a lot easier. So next slide. Next slide, please. Just the outline of, please, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
You can hear me, okay. So I was trying to, I've already acknowledged the dean and the former deans. Then I thank the individuals who have assisted while I was preparing this short paper. Professor Falode, Professor Agulana of Ethics and Medical Humanities, Dr. Onion Aluko, the director of Ted Fund Center of Excellence, Dr. Janet Adekambi from AKIS, then Dr. Wale Olayide, who is the chairman of the local organizing committee. I mean, they have helped me in gathering the materials and present. I already paid tributes to all the deans, Professor Albert, Professor Latukon, and Professor Obute, all the heads of departments, our colleagues, professors, staff, and students of this one of the newest faculties in UI, who continue to soldier on in spite of the numerous challenges that we have in our great faculty. I ran into Professor Bute, I think about a week ago, and he said that she should assist the faculty in having a faculty building. I think with God, nothing is impossible. We'll try and see that your department or your faculty is not orphaned because you don't have a purpose-built faculty complex. I guess it's work in progress. And I think with the presence of the Vice Chancellor at this opening ceremony, ably represented by the Deputy Vice Chancellor Administration, I think it attests to the commitment of university management towards ensuring that multidisciplinary studies is given the attention that it deserves. I was just thinking about it. Almost all the problems that you can think of in this world, they are multidisciplinary in nature, whether it is water supply. I mean, I teach in the Department of Geology. So, I mean, groundwater is our business. The people in geography, environment, civil engineering, people in environmental health, all of us have to contribute to issue of potable water supply or even water for irrigation, people in agricultural engineering, climate change. Almost everything is multidisciplinary if we look at it. Gender studies, people do it in faculty of arts, maybe in science, in agricultural extension. So almost all the problems that we face, they are interdisciplinary in nature. So, of course, they have mentioned the various units in the university that are part of this faculty, like Africa Regional Center for Information Science. I think it was pioneered by people like the late Professor Ayekweku of blessed memory. Peace, Security, and Humanitarian Studies. Of course, Professor Albert was central to this, and the professor in political science also, Usadi Kanye. He started Masters in Humanitarian and Refugee Studies, then Sustainability Studies through the MacArthur Grant, then Bioethics and Medical Humanities, people like Professor Adiba Mowo and the current provost of the College of Medicine, Professor Gundina. So it's very exciting. When you just look at UI, we may have our differences, but there's always continuity. Someone started something, the next generation will take over from him. And I remember I learned that when AKIS was going to be established, because Professor Ayekweku himself used to be in the Department of Library, Archival, and Information Sciences. I wasn't a member of Senate then. I think I'm not even sure I've joined UI in 1987. If 1987, I've not joined UI. It's one of the professors here in Laris said it was over a dead body that AKIS will be established. But of course, it's not our business to be reopening old wounds. But I think Professor Ayekweku was committed to establishing AKIS, maybe he got grant and all that. So today now is a big component of this faculty of multidisciplinary study. Then petroleum, energy, economics, and law. I think Professor Iwayemin, got a grant and all that. So it's really very good. Professor Iwayemin has since retired. Professor Adekanyi has retired. Professor Ayekweku retired. Then before he passed on to eternity. So all of us who are currently on the scene and we are standing on the shoulder of a giant. It's like these are our forefathers. They saw tomorrow. And we, the academic children, we are building on it, which I think is fine. Then some 10 years ago, when I was applying for the position of Vice Chancellor of the University of Ibadan, I submitted the vision document where I stated that one of the priorities of our administration, if I was lucky to be appointed, would be to increase research output. And I said we shall strengthen the existing and create new interdisciplinary institutes and centers that reflect the now, not the past history of subject development. So you cannot say it's geology. No, chemistry has no business with it. Mathematics should not touch it. Computer science should not touch it. So it doesn't work that way. And still continue with the quotation. I say I've always been a strong believer that some of the most exciting things in science and discoveries are at the boundary between different disciplines. If you even imagine that in our College of Medicine, for example, people are reading MBBS. MBBS is just a first degree, Bachelor of Medicine, Bachelor of Surgery. But those students are taught by people from maybe 30 or 40 departments. So not one single department can produce a medical doctor. So which already shows that medicine to that extent is multidisciplinary, or even Bachelor of Pharmacy. I mean, they go to pharmaceutical chemistry, they go to pharmaceutics, they go to industrial pharmacy, they go to pharmacognosy. So they even take courses outside of their faculty. So that suggests to us that knowledge is basically the same. And all we are doing is just to look at different aspects of it. And you ask yourself, how come in Harvard University, there's a faculty of arts and science? Just one faculty, arts and science. So what we are doing, and the chairman, the Right Honorable Right Honorable Dr. I already told us that we should go beyond silos. I was even looking at the curriculum of, what they do in SESDEF. I could see a section there, leadership and governance. I mean, that's what thing that you appeal to all of us, because leadership is very important. If you are head of department or sub-dean or dean or VC, you are occupying a leadership position. So it'd be nice for that unit in SESDEF, for example. So, the Professor Albert also mentioned the fact that we have to look at cross-sectional things. Leadership is leadership. The current vice chancellor of our university is not practicing chemistry. When I was there, I was not practicing geology. Professor Adewale, when he was there, he was not practicing obstetrics and gynecology, of which is an expert. Or Professor Bamiro, mechanical engineer. So, Professor Moni Adewoye is a historian. So, but all of us have had opportunity at one time or the other to be vice chancellor. So there are certain things that cut across. Of course, you must belong to a discipline, unless you are just a professor of the Federal Republic of Nigeria without any specialization. At that level, we have to relate with others. So as of the time, about 10 years ago, we said there are a number of institutes and centers, and ironically, all of them were running postgraduate programs. ACIS only postgraduate programs in information science. I think the people in that case used to quarrel with us that the correct name of that place is Africa regional, not African regional. So I got the spelling correct. Most people write it as African. Then the Center for Peace and Conflict Studies, which was a standalone unit. I think it was led by Professor Adekanye, the eminent professor of political science, now emeritus professor. Then Peace and Conflict Studies program, led by our own Professor Isaac Olawale Albert, but it was in the Institute of African Studies. Of course, as we are going to see in one of the slides, it was creating confusion. So if a prospective postgraduate student is coming to you, he or she wanted to read Peace and Conflict Studies, you will naturally apply to Center for Peace and Conflict Studies. But Center for Peace and Conflict Studies itself was only running humanitarian and refugee studies. So at a stage, we had to move that Peace and Conflict Studies program from African Studies to CEPACS, at least from the nomenclature. Then SESDEF, like I said, through a MacArthur grant, I think that was maybe under Professor Bamiru as Vice Chancellor. The same thing for CPIL, Center for Petroleum, Energy, Economics and Law. Then the then nascent Bioethics and Medical Humanities program. I think they are evolving now. And you find out that the problems they all have, they are more or less the same. Maybe Africa Regional Center for Information Science has been there since 1990. So they have almost 8 core staff. IPSS also, they have some head start because of Professor Albert and others who emigrated, not illegal immigrants now, from Institute of African Studies to form the core staff. Otherwise, they would have been depending only on fellows from other departments. Then SESDEF, I think Dr. Lide told me that, in fact, I think he's the most senior core staff in SESDEF, plus 2 other people, but things are growing. Center for Petroleum Energy Economy, maybe only 1 or 2 core staff. The same thing with bioethics. But we think university is a going concern. The next 20 years, 30 years, these centers or departments will still be there. So of course, we have opportunity to expand. So there are some initial teething problems. But by and large, I think the vision of the founding fathers are justified. And at the same time, we are talking now about what happened 10, 15 years ago. Our guy at the top in Abuja, the National Universities Commission, they were pointing a gun at our heads that the centers were not supposed to be awarding the degrees. He said it's only, and the Deputy Registrar Legal also told me that the University Act, what the Act recognizes is departments. We are a British colony. We just copy from UK. That centers are supposed to be like service units. And we said, okay, either fortuitously or whatever. We now say, okay, is it possible now to bring all of them together under one umbrella? Without being seen to be breaking the law. And I listened to Professor Albert. He thought it was a good thing that we push it through. Just fortuitously. That we didn't think it was going to be so easy. And I almost thank the people in those other departments, all those centers that cooperated with university management. starting with AKIS, the vision of AKIS, as it was then known as a school and as a center of excellence for high-level training, research and public service in information science for English-speaking West Africa, was first conceived at UNESCO as far back as 1970, that was some 52 years ago. The vision was revived at Canada's International Development Research Center, IDRC, in 1980, also 45 years ago. And it was successfully sold to the meeting of Commonwealth Heads of Universities held in Hong Kong in March 1981. Just to put some of these things in a context. And the vision was rooted in the firm recognition that information and communication technologies are rapidly permeating all human activities, and that effective development and application of such technologies in socio-economic activities is now the strategic instrument for growth and development in all societies. I think we had a Senate meeting 2 weeks ago where the university was trying to create a faculty of computing from the current Department of Computer Science. That's partly also to align with the recommendation by the National Universities Commission that is talking of core curriculum minimum academic standard. I remember at that meeting, one lecturer in the Department of Computer Science said he doesn't know what they're doing in that case. And I think I raised my hand and the Vice Chancellor was kind enough to recognize me that if you didn't know what they do in that case, I know, because I've taken some time to look at it. And when I was Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic, I was the chairman of the board for maybe appointments and promotions. So one has an idea of what they do at AKIS. Don't think they're just wasting time there. The Senate, in its wisdom, had reason to create AKIS. We said hence African schools of information science were conceived to provide information science and technology training at the postgraduate level. See, it's postgraduate level for graduates of the natural and social science disciplines, preparatory to pursuing careers in the different sectors of African economy. So they had very good reasons. Then in January 1983, a four-man team of experts visited many African universities in order to recommend to UNESCO and IDRC of Canada the best location for the proposed school. So the thing was not just dropped on the laps of a year. University had to compete for it. University was recommended as one of the two such schools to be established, while the other was proposed for Addis Ababa University in Ethiopia. And the federal government of Nigeria, the NUC, and the University of Ibadan subsequently accepted the recommendation. And the proposed school at Ibadan was named the Africa Regional Center for Information Science, AKIS. The proposal for the assignment of AKIS was approved by University of Ibadan Senate in 1987. That was a few months before I joined as a lecturer grade 2. I joined UI April 1988. So after 3 more years of preparation, you can imagine, from 1987 to 1990, and with the generous financial support of University of Ibadan, NUC, and the IDRC, the center that is AKIS began operations in November 1990. So it was a tripartite arrangement between UI, the host institution, the National Universities Commission, a parastatal of the Federal Ministry of Education, and the IDRC, similar to what we have in the policy. And the Senate of the University of Ibadan approved this in February 2000. AKIS became, that's more recent, 4 or 5 years ago. AKIS became autonomous. Then the name was changed to Department of Data and Information Science under this Professor Albert's faculty of Multidisciplinary Studies. But to me, I don't think that it was anything AKIS was doing that the current Department of Data and Information Science cannot do. I mean, I'm in Department of Geology. I mean, if we want to organize a workshop like this, I don't think there's any law in the university that stops us. So whether you're a department or a center or an institute, I think it's just a matter of semantics. Some of the existing programs in the Department of Data and Information Science, Master of Information Science, which is an academic program, the Master of Information Resources Management. I hope you can still hear me.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The Master of Information Resource Management, that is a professional program with specializations, corporate knowledge management, database design and administration, information management practice, and web application development. The MPhil and PD programs in terms of the research work, quantitative and qualitative techniques, statistical methods, operations research, informatics, webometrics, communication in science and technology, open access, science and technology studies. And I think there's so much work to do. Then behavioral issues in information science, information behavior, social network analysis. I'm sure you're going to show one slide where you see that the academic staff in the AKIS, I think about 8 of them, you could see they have come from different disciplines. The most senior person there now, who happens to be the second dean, Professor Latokun, he has a background in linguistics. Dr. Nwagu, the immediate past HOD, came from a background in statistics. some other ones from botany, from microbiology. I was even pleasantly surprised that somebody there is from geological sciences. I think he just joined last year. So I think that is the essence of the multidisciplinarity that we are talking about. Knowledge management, economics of information, politics of information systems, social informatics, internet technology, speech and language technology. I think that was the time Professor Latoko and others had some kind of memorandum of understanding with a university in France as part of this some of these initiatives. Okay, this was what I was talking about. The people have had opportunity to lead whether the institute or now the faculty. The Ogadia was Professor Ayekweku from 1990 to 1996. It was his idea. He used to be in Laris. Then Professor Fabian Ekamen. Professor Ekamen actually read geology at Obafemi Awolowo University Ilefe. Professor Tiamiyu, I think he read statistics in UI. Then Olatokun, like I've mentioned, read linguistics. I mean, knowledge is the same thing. Dr. Nwagu read statistics. I think Professor Motayo, I can't remember now, the background. These are the current members of staff. Olatokun, the most senior, linguistics, Nwagu, statistics, Kemi Ogunshola, food and industrial microbiology, Adeola Okwesade, a reader, electronics and electrical engineering. So they are able to bring a rich menu to the table. So there is hardly anything you can talk from A to Z that one of them will not have some idea. Fumilola Omotayo from botany, Janet Adekambi from microbiology. I think Janet had the first class in microbiology, UI. Folake Longe, she used to be my bank actually, in Guaranteed Trust Bank. That was when I knew her. And we asked her husband to release her to us. And then she joined the UN. Folake Longe, computer science background, then Ebele Chukwu Ajuka, geological sciences. So all these problems are interdisciplinary. We have indicated the area of specialization of each and every one of them. Then we now move to the next major unit, SESDEF. That is Dr. Olaide's domain, the chairman of the LOC. Established in 2010, that's more recent now, towards the end of the tenure of Professor Bamiru. And then the name was changed to Sustainability Studies when we commenced this idea of Faculty of Multidisciplinary Studies. The academic programs are run under Department of Sustainability Studies. Then they have outreaches. So who says you cannot do outreach programs? After all, when you are employed as academic staff, the major reason why the university pays your salary, of course, by the federal government largely, is for you to think. Our thinking is not limited to teaching students. So you can teach, you can do research, then community service. So outreach is part of our remit as university academics. We are paid to think. The academic programs run under the old SESDEF, which they are still running now in Department of Sustainability Studies, include MSc and PhD in Sustainable Development Practice, MSc and PhD in Tourism. You know, this tourism, many departments in here used to fight over it when I was doing postgraduate school. Archaeology wanted to run it. I think maybe wildlife. We set up a committee. We had to beg Professor Oloshogo to help us convene the meeting. But now it's under SESDEF, so nobody is fighting over it again. Because they think SESDEF belongs to the university, not that it's in the archaeology, which is mainly in Faculty of Arts and Science, or in renewable natural resources, where you have a wildlife. And that is the advantage of what we are talking about. MSc and PhD in indigenous knowledge and development, MSc and PhD in climate. And if you talk of climate change, I think it cuts across so many disciplines in the University of Ibadan. And the advantage of Ibadan is that it's a conventional university. There's hardly any course you can think of, from archaeology to zoology, A to Z. They are in UL. Master in development practice, Master in development practice in sustainable integrated rural development. Of course, rural development is the 40 of people in agricultural extension. See some of the outreach programs, leadership and governance. So that was what I alluded to. Leadership, in fact, it would be nice for SESDEF to organize or midwife a workshop on leadership and governance for all new heads of department in UI, because some of these things we take it for granted. And our fortune in the university will rise and fall with the kind of leadership or management that we have. Environmental protection and natural resources program, then the annual Ibadan Sustainable Development Summit. Then the other international conference, of course, this one is now a faculty program, the one we are doing today and tomorrow, not for SESDEF alone, but fair enough, SESDEF is part of it. So the former directors, two of them, Professor Upola, who later ported to become Vice Chancellor at Osun State University. Then the second director also became Vice Chancellor So it means Professor Jima, it's now your turn to become head of department at the next available opportunity. So they have 3 core staff. Olaide, who has been there for 10, 11 years. Dr. Akande is about 5 years or 6 years now. Then Dr. Balogun, who joined just last year. You can also see those 3 core staff, they have also come from different academic backgrounds. Dr. Olaide himself, Wale, agricultural economics. Dr. Akande from theater arts. Dr. Balogun from archaeology. I'm sure each and every one of them, they're able to bring something to the table, which is one of the novel things that this faculty is bringing on board. The evolution and trajectory. Now we come to conflict studies program. The Peace and Conflict Studies program was a fallout of relationship between University of Ibadan and University of Ulster in Northern Ireland. The relationship was supported by the British Council. Then the Ibadan Ulster link had 3, because the University of Ibadan, maybe the last time I checked, I think the VC sent one document to me about 1,552 academic staff. Each of them very cerebral. So somebody can come up with an idea, sell it to some funding organization, and they'll be ready to support us. At every convocation, the visitor, who turns to be the president in our case, we always say that government alone cannot fund you, the university. Go and look for many sources of funding. But with a better enabling environment, I'm sure people will do well as they have been doing. They go and look for funding and they bring it. I mean, those funds will be given to the university, not to them as principal investigators. But at the end of the day, the university is the ultimate beneficiary. The first was to support Ibadan to develop capacity for teaching peace and conflict studies through exchange of staff and curriculum development. And the university was also expected to have a center for peace and conflict studies. The third outcome was for Ibadan to help in integrating African issues into the programs of the University of Ulster. So we cannot thank people like Professor Albert enough for their foresight. Then CEPAS itself had Professor Adekanyi, emeritus professor of political science. CEPAS was established in 1995. Then it then became problematic because the center itself was not running peace and conflict studies. Rather, it was running a professional program in humanitarian and refugee studies. The academic program in peace and conflict studies was later established and domiciled in the Institute of African Studies, where the mastermind of the Ibadan Ulster link, Dr. Ayo Albert, as he was then known, was a senior research fellow. Then the Peace and Conflict Studies program admitted its first set of students for the MA in Peace and Conflict Studies in year 2000. That was some 25 years ago. Then following the takeoff of the program in African Studies, then the name of CEPACS, Humanitarian and Refugee Study, became problematic for us. Students we applied to PG school that they want to do MA in Peace and Conflict Studies, but rather than apply to African Studies, where the program was domiciled, they rather applied to CEPACS, which was Center for Peace and Conflict Studies. So it was obvious that that model was not sustainable. We cannot be explaining to every perspective that our Peace and Conflict Studies program is not being run under Center for Peace and Conflict Studies, but in the Institute of African, because the name Institute of African Studies doesn't indicate whether you are running Peace and Conflict Studies there. This confusion now, one thing led to the other. So in briefly, IPSS, Institute of Peace and Strategic Studies, was set up in September 2015, almost 10 years ago. This tried to even bring peace and conflict studies from African studies. That's the one headed by Professor Albert at that time. Then humanitarian and refugee studies, I think that time it was Professor Kaubono, who was the director, my friend, Professor Kaubono. Then masters in strategic studies in Department of Political Science. Then disaster risk management from Department of Geography. Then legal criminology and security psychology in the DPC admins department. That's a psychology. Then forensic science from archaeology, anthropology. I think some of these programs still remain in those departments where they were originally domiciled. They refused to move. We have both legal criminology and security psychology, as well as forensic science. They didn't migrate. Maybe some Senate we use the big stick and ask them to move. Then Professor Albert became the pioneer director of IPSS. He's very good at becoming pioneers. Then a new development, when the Faculty of Multidisciplinary Studies was, some of these things you cannot do it by fiat. The university operates on the basis of committee system. You have to convince and reconvince people. Otherwise, they think, where has this one come from that is passing down instructions down our throat? So we have this was up till 5 years ago, January 2020, when the faculty was established. Because there was no faculty board, So I just use my executive power to appoint my brother, Professor Albert, as the director. If I don't appoint my brother director, who else will I have appointed? The person doesn't like me. I mean, that's on a lighter note. So we have Department of Peace, Security, and Humanitarian Studies, taken off with 3 programs: Peace and Conflict Studies, Master in Strategic Studies, then Professional Master in Disaster Risk Management, and Humanitarian and Refugee Studies. Then Professor Tajuddin Akanji, one of our most senior professors, became the head of department by virtue of the fact that he was serving as the director of the Institute of Peace and Strategic Studies at the time of the establishment of the department. Because when somebody is director or head of department, so now when you introduce a new change, then you have to manage the transition seamlessly. But thank God people cooperated. As we speak, these are the henchmen and women in that department. Professor Albert, African History, Conflict Analysis and Peace Processes, Professor Akanji in Peace and Security Education, the current head of department, the strong woman, Professor Ruth Adiomosis, Gender Studies, Disaster and Humanitarian Management, the great Dr. Danjibo in Ethnicity, Religion and Human Security. Then my friend and brother, Dr. Aluko, Conflict Analysis, Peace Building, Early Warning and Security Management. And it's also the director of the Center of Excellence in Third Fund Center of Excellence. Dr. Owo Ishola, Media, Peace
Prof,
and
sir, can
Security.
you please round off in the next 10 minutes, sir?
Okay, I will finish. Dr. Fality, Environment and Conflict, Third-Party Processes, Crisis Management and Strategic Studies. Dr. Fumilayo Agbaji, Gender Studies and Peace Building. Dr. Alejo, Security Studies, Humanitarian Action, and Alternative Dispute Resolution. Of course, you can see that this one also will relate to what they do in the Faculty of Law. I mean, the Alternative Dispute Resolution. Then Dr. Abiodun, Border Security, Intelligence Analysis, and Military History, Peace and Security. Then the last but not the least, our colleague Dr. Adebayo on structural violence, gender and politics. Then they have this Third Fund Center of Excellence in Multidisciplinary Studies. I think part of this is in the program that Dr. Laide was kind enough to circulate. Then bioethics and at the University of Ibadan, decided in 2004. So you can see this have a fairly long history. The West African Bioethics Training Program, which is now Center for Bioethics and Research, CBR, was established through a United States National Departments of Health Fogarty International Center, awarded to our great friend, Professor Clement Adebamowo, before he retired. He went on voluntary retirement from the University of Ibadan. People like Professor Gundiran, current provost, they took over the gauntlet from him. So we find out that things have been moving. The CBR, that's the Center for Bioethics and Research, is an assemblage of a multidisciplinary group of academics within and outside the University of Ibadan with interest or training in bioethics and who are committed to promoting bioethics discourse, teaching, training, writing, and practice in Nigeria and the whole of West Africa. Through the efforts of the CBR, there was a drive to establish a bioethics program in our great university. Then this effort yielded fruit when in 2007, the Senate approved the establishment of an academic program, MSc, MPhil, PhD in bioethics in the Department of Surgery. Then that same year, in 2007, the MSc Bioethics program commenced, and it has continued till date. Then fast forward to 2019, the Senate of our university approved the establishment of a full-fledged Department of Bioethics and Medical Humanities to be domiciled in the Faculty of Multidisciplinary Studies. It's gratifying to know that this is the first and only one of such departments in any Nigerian university, even as we speak. The Department of Bioethics and Medical Humanities is the first of its kind in any university in Nigeria. There are many other universities are reaching to us to seek guidance, and it will be nice for the Vice Chancellor to continue to assist them. The multidisciplinary and collaborative program, the department by nature is multidisciplinary, involving specialists from multiple academic backgrounds. Like when a patient is sick, even when he or she is on admission, when they play music to him or her, it can improve the healing process. So you can see that people in humanities, they have something to contribute. And I think when I was Dean of Postgraduate School, we invited a member of the National Assembly to come and give a lecture. He's a medical doctor and in politics, but he also writes. So those are the kind of things to underline the interdisciplinarity of what we are talking about. The department has built a multidisciplinary, multi-departmental collaborative team of university academic staff with interest, training, and expertise in bioethics. So the Professor Guduna was the pioneer head of department. Of course, he's in department of surgery. Then the current head of department is a professor of philosophy, our colleague, friend and brother, Professor Agulana. They have only one full-time academic staff who is an assistant lecturer. Of course, we should not despise the little beginnings. The young shall grow. In spite of the challenges, the department has produced not less than 70 MSc graduates since its inception. I think that is highly commendable. They undertake different activities, including bioethics, manpower development in the various parts of West Africa. Some of the things they do: postgraduate program in bioethics, MSc, MPhil, PhD, bioethics and research ethics awareness workshops in Nigeria and the rest of West Africa. The development of the National Code of Health Research Ethics in Nigeria. The training of Health Research Ethics Committee in Nigeria. Some of the challenges, again, this one cuts across all the other departments in the new faculty. No single office of its own anywhere in the university. However, the Vice Chancellor has made promises to assist the department. You know, a promise is a debt. Since the Vice Chancellor has promised them, I'm sure the Vice Chancellor will honor his promise. The DVC academic administration will pass the message to him. The department only has one full-fledged academic staff, thereby making the work in the department too cumbersome for the head of the department to perform. The department does not have any non-teaching staff, because even if you give them any non-teaching staff, where is it going to go to stay unless the head of the department will be lapping him in his room? Then the last major department, the petroleum, energy, economics. Also, a grant from Makato. As a multidisciplinary center, it brings together economists, engineers, lawyers, finance experts, scientists, and other relevant professional bodies. I've seen one or two of our former students doing masters and PhD in this center. Of course, petroleum is there. Naturally, geologists should be also involved. Established as a John Makato Foundation Center after a competitive bid. And the idea was conceived with proposal written by a team from 3 departments: economics, Professor Adenikinju, Dr. Lateef Akinpelu, petroleum engineering, Peter Obute, Faculty of Law, under the inspiration of Professor Akinwayemi. The notable achievements over the last 14 years, the department has established, has made a lot of development into achievements, not less than 57 PhD and 378 master students. I think that is a great feat. And some of them now occupy leading positions, both at home and abroad. Then the consensus has MSc Energy Studies, about 62 LLM in Energy Law. Then the doctoral program, I think I already mentioned that 57 of them. The first PhD Energy Studies graduate was awarded the best PhD thesis of the university. So apart from teaching students who graduate with masters and PhD, then there are also research products. This is an integrated portable power solution system. Then they are integrated solar irrigation system, all coming from the staple of that department. AI enhancement energy meter. Then our integrated solar dryer. For closing remarks, since the LOC chairman has given us a matching order, which is fair enough, that the faculty was actually a child of necessity. So it came about fortuitously. There was a problem, and we needed to think as if there were no boxes to solve that problem. Then the serving tribute has to be paid to many teachers and researchers, because this was not imposed on the university. Other individual lecturers, professors, going out of their way to look for funds and grants to help the university, and these units have come to stay. It's not as if the government instigated us to establishing it over the last 35 years or so. Who conceived the idea? So we pay tribute to them today, tomorrow, and always. The achievement of various units, as we have tried to outline over the last 30 minutes, are what all of us should be proud of. And with additional support in terms of funding, additional human resources, and space, then the future for this, our new faculty, our university, and the great country is even brighter. I thank you all for your kind attention. Thank you.
Please can we give Professor? Thank you very much. I'm sure he did justice to that topic. Why the Faculty of Multidisciplinary Studies in the University of Ibadan. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we're about to round up the opening ceremony for this first conference of the faculty, first Ibadan International Conference in Multidisciplinary Studies. But before I'll do the closing ceremonies, I'd just like to invite the chairman of the planning committee, Dr. Lawale Olaide, to make some announcements.
Yeah, good day, everyone, and welcome again to the Ibadan International Conference in Multidisciplinary Studies. I just want to make a few announcements that borders on what we do after now. Now we'll file out after this presentation to the outside there. We'll take the group photograph. After the group photograph, we'll now move to the left to take the tea break. And after the tea break, we'll be going to different sessions. As you can see on the program, there will be 5 sessions. There will be 1 session here, 3 sessions at the Department of Peace, Security, and Humanitarian Studies, just a few distance from here. And the next department, beside the Department of Peace, Security, and Humanitarian Studies, we'll have another session there. So there will be 1 session in this hall. You'll get the details of those who will be presenting here just when you step out or shortly after the tea break. Then we'll paste the details in each of the halls. But in any case, if you need information on the session, appropriate session to go, locate anybody with LOC member tag. Such a person should be able to direct. That's all for now. Thank you very much.
Vice Chancellor, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'd just like to recognize the presence of the head of the Department of History, University of Ibadan, Professor Rashid Olaniyi. Thank you very much. May I now request that we all rise for the university and national anthem. Yeah, you are to request that was seated for this moment. Please. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks. Okay, I would like to thank all our integrators, starting with the who is very supportive of this vision, interested in seeing the faculty making progress. We also want to thank the chairman of the day, Dr. Bode Ayorinde, for, yes, you can see the man of many parts. We want to thank you for gracing this occasion and giving us the privilege to also learn from what you are doing, being entrepreneur in some ways, in many ways, significant ways. We want to thank all our deans and provosts here. We want to thank the heads of departments, the constituent departments of the faculty. I didn't say that this is the only faculty that is virtual in UI, in the sense that we don't have a base. I hope that's a challenge. We're a virtual faculty. And I think that will be a challenge. It's not a reputation in Africa, but maybe that's what makes us to be the first and the best. But we'd like to have an office for administration, maybe. And someone was saying recently, thank God for the new building that is coming up opposite Queen's Hall. Maybe that's where they want to build for us. After all, it's almost said that the patient dog is the fattest bone. So thank you for that. So we thank all the heads of the deans of the various faculty, provosts. We want to thank the staff and students for their support, the volunteers. Someone said, we always think it's not possible until it's done. We never knew that it can be done, but we thank God for the opportunity. And more importantly, we want to thank God and thank our supportive dean. I want you to help me to appreciate our supportive dean, Professor Peter Chukwuma Obute. Was here throughout yesterday, first person to come today. It's just been amazing. But I pray that your effort will be rewarded, that even before you go, we'll have a base that we can call our own. So thank you very much, and we appreciate you. We are not done. We just thank you for this session. We'll go for tea break, as I said. We'll come back to different sections. Then we still come back for plenary, as you can see on the program. I want to appreciate Dr. Ekanla, Professor Ekanla, who is here today. I thought he would be coming in the afternoon, but something very wonderful. I don't know whether I should say it now. Professor Ekanla, it was his committee that set up this faculty, and that's why I particularly invited him. That, Oga, what you said university should do, we are doing it. Come and see how the progress is being made, and I think we're having a challenge on how to make progress. So thank you very much for coming, everybody. Can you just please appreciate yourself for coming today? I shared something this morning on the various platform. I said, come join us and come and feel and have the memory of what it takes to experience a first thing. When we have the next one, it will never be first again. You can only have one first and first alone. And this is the first one. You will tell the story to your grandchildren that attended there. Maybe by then it will be 20th edition. They say, I was there, the first one. No, it can never be the same. Thank you for making history with us today. When we finish now, we want you to allow the people in the front row to courtesy demand that we allow them to walk out first, take their tea break, and maybe come back to the hall to have a relaxed environment, where perhaps the rest of us can quickly grab our tea, then we'll locate a different location. We have enough time for interaction. We have cocktail tomorrow. The Vice Chancellor is going to host us at his own building. You know that main building, Trenchard Hall. If you have never been to Trenchard Hall, you will know tomorrow that Trenchard Hall is not for accommodation. You know what they do there. So I want to thank you very much. Now we take full photograph, then we go for tea. Thank you.